All right, let's get into it. Have you ever been staring at a music timeline, the grid, and just felt completely stuck? Well, today we're looking at some software that just takes that rulebook and tosses it right out the window. We're about to explore a world where music literally takes on a brand new shape. And I just love this quote because, yeah, that's exactly what you think at first glance, isn't it? A cube for making music? It sounds bizarre. But here's the thing that this user found out pretty quickly. Weird can very easily become wonderful. And that's really what this whole explainer is all about. It's about stepping away from the things we all know, the piano rolls, the sequencers, the timelines. Instead, we're jumping into a space where you create sound by playing with geometric shapes. It's way more visual, way more hands-on. So what are we diving into specifically? We're breaking down the Mazetools ecosystem, focusing on two really interesting pieces of software, Mutant and Soniface Lab. They both challenge the very idea of how we're supposed to make music. And they ask this really cool question. What if your instrument wasn't something with keys or pads, but a cube or maybe a sphere? Okay, so let's properly meet the tools. We're going to put them side by side to really get a feel for what makes each one tick before we get into all the details. Now, the best way to understand these two isn't by looking at a long list of features. It's about grasping their core creative idea, their central metaphor. With Mutant, you're playing a hypercube. With Soniface Lab, you're interacting with a sphere. And trust me, this is way more than just a visual gimmick. It fundamentally changes how you approach making and hearing your own music. First up, let's get our heads wrapped around the Mutant Hypercube. The entire experience is built around this central object, and it totally flips the script on what a musical composition can be. So what on earth is multi-perspective music? Well, this is the magic right here. Imagine you've built a little musical sculpture with different sounds. Instead of tweaking faders on a mixing board, you just reach in, grab the sculpture, and turn it. Each little rotation gives you a brand new angle, a new perspective on your own creation, revealing combinations you never would have found otherwise. It's a massive shift in workflow. And really, it's all about being playful and intuitive. The goal is to just dive in and make some crazy different music without getting bogged down. You just turn the hypercube, and suddenly new ideas pop out. You can even jam with your friends in real time over the same Wi-Fi network, which is just awesome. But it's not just a toy. They've recently added some more serious tools, like a sampler and a quantizer, giving you that perfect mix of wild creativity and practical control. Okay, now let's move over to its sibling, Soniface Lab. So if Mutant is all about hearing your music from different angles, Soniface is about seeing your music take shape. They call it visual music, and that's exactly what it is. The key thing here is that you're not just making sounds, you're creating a complete audiovisual experience. Every sound is directly connected to a visual element that you can see and control. This makes it absolutely perfect for crafting those evolving ambient soundscapes where you can just get lost. And this is where you see just how deep the rabbit hole goes. You can automate movements, record loops, and even import your own samples to play around with inside this maze. They describe the interface as a graphic arena, which is such a cool way to put it. Your sounds literally travel across these grids, creating tracks that are always evolving, always changing, and never really sound the same way twice. So all of that sounds pretty fascinating, I know. But what do the people who actually use these tools think? Are they practical instruments, or are they just fun toys? Hey, remember that first quote about it all being weird? Well, this is the second half of that sentence. The initial skepticism just melts away into pure fun. And that seems to be the common experience. Once you get past the unusual look and feel, it becomes this incredibly engaging creative tool. And the people using this are all over the map. On one end, you have this total power user. A dual touchscreen DJ setup, a mixer, and they've integrated Mutant right into their live rig for looping and mixing on the fly. Super high-tech stuff. But then, on the complete opposite end of the spectrum, you get this user. She describes herself as an old lady with a guitar. And for her, Soniface Lab has become this incredibly useful and fun tool for her own music. I just love that contrast. Her workflow really says it all about the software's wide appeal. She's a hobbyist making ambient music. She uses Soniface Lab to generate these amazing, unique sounds and textures, and then she pulls those into her main software, Cubase, to build songs around them. So she's not replacing her tools. She's adding a brand new instrument to her palette that she has to practice and explore. It's brilliant. So if you're thinking, okay, this is pretty cool, I'm curious, how do you actually get started? Let's talk about the practical side of things. All right, here's the number one tip from pretty much everyone in the community. Be patient. These are sold on Steam, and if you can just wait for one of the big seasonal sales, like the summer or winter sale, you can save a ton of money. And here's why waiting is totally worth it. Check out these prices. These are the lowest recorded prices during a sale. We're talking discounts of 70%, even 75% if you grab the bundle. That makes these incredibly experimental and creative tools super, super accessible. But what if you're still not sure? You want to try it out, but you don't want to commit. Well, there's a fantastic little tip for that. Since there's no official demo, you can actually use Steam's really generous refund policy as a sort of try before you buy system. The process is dead simple. You just buy the software on Steam. Then you go nuts, play with it, test out all the features, and if it just doesn't click with you, you can request a refund as long as you've played for less than 2 hours. It's basically a completely free 2-hour trial to see if this new way of making music is your thing. And that really is the question at the heart of all this. By throwing out the grid and giving us a hypercube and a sphere, Mazetools forces us to think differently. Now look, it's probably not going to replace your main music software, but could it spark that one idea you've been searching for? Could it help you create a sound you never would have found otherwise? I think so. The real question is, what kind of new music is waiting for you just outside the lines?